Well, good afternoon. Hopefully today we can see what's going on, fingers crossed, and make sure that we're live on everything. Well, fingers crossed we're going to get the comments, because it tells me that we're connected to Facebook and YouTube, which we didn't get last week. Those of you that have been regular joiners with us, you'll know that we have a few technical hiccups. We are still trying to work our way around this program, so it's taken us a little while to get used to it. So if you are watching, please feel free to give me a comment or say hello or whatever. As I say, fingers crossed we are now both live on Facebook and YouTube. So we are once again this week going to be making a card with one of our latest releases. So we are going to be using, let's flip this round, move this out of the way. Okie doke. So it's not a massive list today. I'm letting you off lightly. Hello, Tina. Tina, you've thrown me today because you've changed your name on here to what it was. So it's been taking me a while to work it all out, but I think we're finally there. Hi, Maddie. Hi, Carol. I hope you've all recovered from the weekend. Hello, Linda. So, yay, we are definitely on Facebook. So we just need some of you on YouTube that are around watching just to let me know you're there. And then fingers crossed we are there. So today we are going to be using the new sentiments and the new Floral Infinity. I apologise for the reflection that we've got. We've had to move where I usually sit to do this, and it's even worse because we're right underneath the skylight, directly underneath it today. But this is the only spot, because we're having a bit of a move around, that is for public eyes, shall we say. We're in a bit of chaos. So as I say, we're using those two sets of stamps. We are using Prized Ribbon Distress Oxide. Now when you look at this, hi Ruth, hi Julie, yay, we're on YouTube as well. So when you look at the outside packaging on a prized ribbon, a lot of the inks come through on different colours. So this is my old well-used one, and you can see it's much brighter on this one than it is on this one. The true colour is somewhere in between those two. We're kind of like a French navy on here. Hello, David. We also have the VersaFine ink that we're going to be using. Sorry, I'm reading people's comments as they come up as well. We're using the super smooth cardstock. We've got it in the 250 or the 300 GSM. We're using our sticky glue, which at the moment we only have in stock in the larger bottle. Hoping to get the other ones back in stock very shortly. And we'll also be using the blending brushes and our crystal clear embossing powder. So I think that's everything. Let's pop some of these bits and pieces out of the way, and we can get started. Hopefully, if I can fit it all in. There we go. So let's get started. Right, cardstock. Believe it or not, we are not doing an 8x8 card today. We are doing a 6x6. You need 2 6x6 card blanks, or the equivalent of in heavyweight cardstock. You need one piece that's 5 and 3. Let me move those out of the way because you can't see this, can you? One piece that's 5 3/4 inch square. One piece that's 5 1/2 inch square. We have 4 pieces at 5 3/4 inches by 2 3/4 inches, and then we have 4 pieces at 5 1/2 by 2 1/2. Can you see that's the layer for that, and that's the layer for that? Hello Sue, lovely that you can join us for the first time, able to watch us live. Sarah, get these meetings sorted. They keep putting Sarah's meetings in when she's on her lunch to watch us. Hi Pat, hi Janice, hi Mum. So yeah, it's busy on here today. After the workshop, everybody's kind of got to know each other and a bit more chatty, which is lovely. So first off, we're going to take our 2 card blanks firstly, I'm going to remove the seat that I'm sitting on because it's driving me insane already. So we can stand up now and that makes it easier for me. So we are going to fold these card blanks. As square as you can get them. Depends who's been putting the crease in as to where they are. And then you are going to take them both. Now the way I do this is I fold it into here, and then that gives me something to push against to make sure I've folded that in the right place. And then I'm going to open it out because I actually want this side showing. And the same with the other. Tina, just in case you do mention it, hi Shirley, hi Marie, in case you, Tina, just in case you do mention it, I haven't given Mum her new labels yet, but it's because it's chaos in here. I've got them safe in my box and they'll stay there till I can get the box back to Mum to do all the new labelling. Tina keeps Mum organised, she's a good lady. So we're just going to tuck one inside the other here, and we are going to glue those. Forgot to get my kitchen roll out, so sorry about that. So we're going to pop some glue on the back just to stick those together, and then that's one less thing to worry about. So those two cards now have become one. Now don't panic if they're not a perfect match. Remember, these are handmade cards. If they were perfect, they would have been produced by a mass manufacturer and wouldn't have been anywhere near as much fun. So that is your card base. You know I like this style of card. We're just doing it in mini. I have prepped some of this ahead, but I'm going to do my very best to try and not do too much of this pre-prepped, so that we can see just how long it takes to do it. That's the plan anyway. You will also need, which I didn't mention a minute ago, a little bit of cardstock just to do a sentiment that we're going to use across the top. Hi Mandy. Hi Jean. So we are going to take our prized ribbon and our small blending brush, and we're going to load that brush up. I know it's very unlike me, Carol, but I thought I'd change things up a little bit today. I actually had a dream about this card. I've had some really weird dreams this last week. I was in a tornado the other night, which was very odd, considering we don't really have tornadoes in Bury St Edmunds. So we are just literally blending around the outside edge of this card because this is going to be our layer. As you know, I just want it all colour coordinated. And I'm purposefully doing it with the brush rather than going with a solid, because quite often I'll just wipe the ink pad down the side, because I want it to be not necessarily quite such a solid line. I want it quite dark, but it doesn't have to be such a solid line. Okay. So Martin and I are absolutely shattered today because we took Martin's mum back to the airport this morning to fly home after her coming over to look after us and help us. Well, she came over and helped with Maisie, helped Mum with Maisie because Mum has been poorly, and to help us with the workshops, and bless her, I think she needed to go home just for a break. We've kept her very, very busy. So that's the first piece done. As I said, I wanted it to have a little bit of texture still underneath, so that's why I didn't just do that usual swipe all the way around. Oh, now my wet wipes don't want to come apart. I am just going to wipe this away. So today's card is designed to show that you don't necessarily have to colour in with all of these new stamps. They are really nice to colour in, but you don't have to do it. So that my plan is to show you that you don't have to stamp, to colour in all the time with these. So there's quite a little bit of quite a little bit of I've lost my ink pad for a minute, bear with me, because I've buried it under everything else. You should see the state. Oh well, at least you can join in now, Kathy, and we know that you can see what we're saying. So here we go. Lots and lots of little light taps all over your stamp. This is our centerpiece of our card, so this is the bit that's going in the panel in here. So I'm going to just stamp a small section in the bottom down here. And then spin it round. I am going to re-ink that because obviously some of the ink that was on the stamp is now on my mat. And we're going to stamp, yeah, the opposite side of the stamp in the top corner. It doesn't matter if they're exactly the same. I just like to have it a little bit different for my own personal preference, but again, it is my preference. It doesn't have to be that way. So we are going to get some embossing powder on here quickly, if I can find my piece of paper I need for that, which I can't. I've had it out and now I've put it somewhere really safe. There it is. It's very strange being in a different place. I normally have a kind of like a home for everything, and today I don't, so bear with me. I might be AWOL a couple of times trying to locate what I've done with things. Put them in that place that you think, oh, I'll remember, I'll see that, won't miss that. That was literally, that piece of paper was literally in front of me. We're then going to put our sentiment on. Now, think about what sentiment you're going to put on. This is the centre of your card. So if you're going to put happy birthday on the front, you don't necessarily need to put happy birthday inside as well. So on the inside, I've got hope your day is fabulous. Now, I haven't heat embossed those yet. I will be going in to heat emboss those. So mind your fingers if you try to do what I've just done, that you don't catch that. Again, on with the embossing powder. So we had our workshop here in Honeydew Crafts HQ at the weekend, so we're all been crazy busy getting organised for that beforehand and clearing up afterwards, because it does take an army to make that happen. Right, so we are going to heat from underneath. As you all know, I do tend to heat from underneath if I'm colouring. I try and do it all the time. You don't have to if you're not confident enough to do that, or if you're not happy doing it from underneath. Please don't feel you have to. I think this sentiment stamp, Carol, has been a real hit. Well, I know it has. So we may well look at continuing it with the same style, but with a few different sentiments. So give us your thoughts on what you think to that. We will be doing a new release coming shortly. Hopefully by the end of the month, beginning of the following month. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Tina. So that's that first piece done. We are then going to, as I said, I'm not colouring any of this in. So we're just then going to take the brush that we used to ink up all around the outer edge. I'm going to give that a little bit of a wiggle while it's still warm. And I'm not loading any extra ink on there. I'm going to try not to. I just want to give that a really light hue on there. And then don't forget that you've gone over your embossing powder with an opaque ink if you've used Distress Oxides. So you do need to go in and just buff that embossing powder section again with just a dry piece of kitchen paper. And I am now going to stick those two together, because again that makes those two pieces become one. There's a song there somewhere, I think. Somebody asked me at the weekend how I manage to get my glue without getting the tram lines where my glue has been. There's a couple of little tricks to that. One is I always keep my glue bottle right touching the paper as I squeeze it out. And two, don't use too much glue. You really don't need a lot of glue to hold this down. It's not like you're sticking a table to a wall, is it? You're sticking two bits of paper together. So don't think that you have to plaster it on there, because you really don't. Now I am going to stick this in here just because that gets that out of the way for me. Or am I going to wait? We shall see. I might just pop that to one side for a minute. We will see. Right, so onto the other panels. This might take me a couple of moments, and I wish I knew how to speed it up, but because we're doing it live, I obviously can't speed it up. But partly the point of doing it live like this is to show you just how long it takes. Obviously cutting it out ahead of time, but everything else, and my plan is that, or I had planned that we would do everything, but having just seen what the time is, maybe we won't get to do it all, because you don't want to hear me waffling while I'm doing this for the next however many. Well, it'll probably take, start to finish, about 3/4 of an hour, I suppose, roughly. Just because you're doing quite a bit of embossing, it takes a few minutes for that embossing to cook. If you didn't want to emboss it, you don't have to. It's just an idea of the style that you might like. Amazing, I have you on the TV. Oh my goodness, you really are whizzing through the technology today, Kathy. But can you still see the comments on there, Kathy? That's the thing. Because you're watching on YouTube, can you still see the comments? That's what we'd like to know. Speaking of YouTube, if anybody hasn't already seen them, we have lots and lots of videos on our YouTube channel showing you how to do lots of different things. We started it during lockdown. Well, we started it years before then, but didn't really do very much on there. We started during lockdown doing videos as pretty much once a week. So they're all on there. So if you've missed any of our stuff, or you're new to Honeydew Crafts and you want to catch up with some of the bits and pieces, you like my waffle. Thanks, David. I hope you've recovered from the weekend too. It's funny, you know, when we do these workshops, you come and you're crafting for the day. It's supposed to be completely stress-free. It's not always stress-free for people, because some people get very worked up about it not being in the right place. But it's supposed to be stress-free, but it always amazes me how exhausted people look sometimes when they leave. I think I'm the one that should be exhausted. Which of course I was as well, but I must really tax some people to their limits, because you can almost see them hit a brick wall with their crafting. They still manage to get everything finished. And David, I have to say, you looked shattered when you left here on Sunday. So hopefully, I'm assuming because you're here listening to me waffle, that you did get home safe and sound, but you did look shattered. So as you can see, I am literally just loading this brush to give myself quite a heavy finish. And as I mentioned earlier, this prized ribbon is kind of like a French navy. It looks quite bright actually on the picture, doesn't it? But it's not as bright as it looks. So is that 1, 2, 3? We've got one more to go. Oh, I haven't put the brakes on, and can't you tell? Those at the workshop saw my table that we use for this, because I used it for the demos, and I tried to explain that this is why everything wobbles. So you've been watching our videos, have you, Tina? I know some ladies have been using me as their bedtime reading rather than a book. Carol, who I don't think is managing to join us this week, but yeah, Carol informed me that when she goes to bed, she doesn't read a book anymore. She watches the YouTube videos or catches up with Facebook Live. I'm glad you enjoyed it, David. We always have a giggle at our workshops. They're not very we're quite relaxed and quite chilled. They're very informal, shall we say, unless I have to get cross with people. No, I never get cross with anybody. It's just we're just there for some fun, and hopefully you pick up a few tips and techniques and you'll get to know each other. So we do have a couple of places left on our Coventry one. We have, I believe, one place left on the Newcastle one, which we literally launched on, I think, Monday or Tuesday. Monday, I think we launched it. And Tina, yes, you do have a supply of, I'm sure you do have a supply of bubble wrap. So some of you may or may not know, we use bubble wrap for a technique in our workshop, and everyone then decided that they were never going to throw bubble wrap away again. So you should end up with 4 panels inked around the edge. Just pop those to one side. We've then got the 4 smaller panels that we're going to stamp and ink off the page. As I say, I'm trying I really would love to do this one without going into any of the pieces I did earlier, to see if we can manage to do it. So this is again a really popular stamp for us, but I wanted to say, if you missed the start, I wanted to show you that you don't actually have to ink and colour everyone. They are really nice to colour, but you don't have to colour them all in. So this is a technique to show you how effective a card can look without colouring it in. Hi Maggie. So we're inking up the stamp. Just be careful as you're doing this that you don't get your fingers in all of the black ink that is going to be around. Just be cautious of that, because it goes a long way, as you all know. And if it does get a bit too much on your paper, just go in and wipe it off. I promise I am only using the same wet wipe each time. And I've just realised this whole time my dreadful heater's been going, because it's quite chilly in here. And Martin isn't here at the moment, so I couldn't even ask him to come and turn it off for me. So I apologise if you've had a horrible noise going on in the background, because I forgot to turn it off before I went live. Which was not very clever of me, was it? Right, so that's the ink on that piece. And then I'm going to pop some embossing powder on there and just pop that to one side. Fingers crossed. So that's your first one. Now remember, with the embossing powder and VersaFine ink, they're not the best of friends, so be careful not to knock it about too much. Oh, the other Amanda gave Tina a tip about removing gilding wax off her. The other Amanda is an Amanda that came to our workshop. It's very weird saying your own name to somebody else. So the tip that Tina gave Amanda at the workshop, because she's just popped on there, removing gilding wax from craft sheet worked, was that she is to heat it. So obviously a lot of us work on these brown craft mats, and if you get gilding wax on it, it doesn't just wipe off like an ink would. You need to find another way of getting that off there. So Amanda mentioned to Tina, try heating it, and by the sounds of it, Tina, it worked. So obviously you can heat it and remove it. So I am trying my very best to kind of move this stamp around a little bit so that we don't get the same image each time. See, look, that heater's just kicked back in, so I'm sorry, I'm going to try and talk over it, but it's right at the other side of the room. And I can't even just nip over there and turn it off, because you'll just get a black screen of me without, and everyone will think I've frozen. Oh, hello Veronica. So as I said, we dropped Veronica off at the airport this morning, and that's obviously Veronica just in from being picked up because our flight was delayed. There's something about the flights to Malta. Every single time one of us flies, we get delayed, either coming or going, either coming here or going back, or vice versa, us going there and coming home. So Veronica's obviously made it in just in time to catch us. I hope Daisy was pleased to see you, Veronica. So that's 2 pieces. We have 2 more to do. And I've purposefully, I know I've gone with blue again. I was going to say I've purposefully gone. Oh, that's a bit, I have no idea what that's all about, Maria. I don't deal with the technical side of life. So I've purposefully gone with a blue because I'd done this in a lighter colour earlier, and we had a look at it through the camera and you couldn't really see what I was doing because it was so light. So I redid it and came up with it on a darker colour. But I really, and prize ribbon is a colour that I don't often go for, but whenever I do remember to use it, I think, why didn't I use that before? I really like that. It's a very understated ink pad. Oh, she doesn't want to know yet. She's cross with you because you left her, Veronica. Next time you have to bring her with you. Daisy is Veronica's cat. She's just a year old yesterday, so she's a little baby. So again, keep inking, lots and lots of little light taps. You do have to work a little bit quicker probably doing this than you normally would, because obviously the VersaFine and the embossing powder are not the best friends. So just think about that as you're doing it. It's actually quite good because it means that you don't have time to think about where you're placing things. Just do it, and that means that you're not gonna be too perfect with it, if that makes sense, because the idea is that you're not perfect with it. You're making your own background using the stamps that you already have. So if there is any techniques or styles that you would like to see how we do it, please let me know, because it's nice to kind of show you some things that you've asked to see rather than just me coming up with ideas each week as well. So if there's anything you would like me to cover, please let me know. You can leave a message on our Facebook page, or you can leave us a message on YouTube, or you can send us an email at honeydewcrafts@gmail.com, or you can go through our website and contact us on that. So there's many options for you to do that, and I will try and cover some styles and ideas and techniques that people would like to learn. I can't do the bubble wrap one at the moment because that's being taught as a workshop. So after the workshops we will be able to share that with you. And those of you that have attended a workshop, you already know what I'm talking about. So that's all the embossing done. I've just got to get my embossing powder lid, otherwise you know I'm going to knock that over. And now bear with me a couple of minutes. I'm just going to heat these. Mind your fingers, this gets very, very hot. David, you want flowers, flowers, flowers. So we need to do some flowers in, David. I will try and do some flowers next week on the card. Next week we will probably be in a different place again. Watch this space. It's a bit like musical chairs at the moment. So as I've said before, heat from underneath gives you a much smoother finish on your embossing powders, but if you're not hugely confident doing that, then don't worry, you can heat from above. There is nothing that says that you can't. The only thing that you need to be aware of when you do heat from above is that the embossing powder on the VersaFine may jump about a little bit, so you may get a few speckles where there's embossing powder that you don't want it to be. Hopefully we get that one done. Try and catch the light. When you want the light to catch it, it's not going to catch it, is it? As I say, bear with me because I'm doing them all. We're going to pretty much get this card done in real time, look. So all I did ahead was cut the sizes out, and they're not difficult sizes to cut out. So you want some vellum flowers, do you? I've been avoiding them because I thought lots of you have seen me do those and Mum do those so much. But I will have a play for next week. Also, that other little technique that you've seen me do with the Versamark ink underneath onto your stamp first, and then another ink, i.e. Memento or the Distress Oxide, the Distress inks, to make the colour darker so it sticks better. You could also use that on your VersaFine if you really wanted to, and then it would allow your VersaFine to stay open a little longer. When I say stay open, it means it will stay sticky for a little bit longer to take that ink on board. Sorry, to take that embossing powder on. So, Maggie, we do a couple. Oh, I'd love to come over there. If you can fill me up a workshop and find me a way to get over there. Oh, I've still got one more to do. Isle of Man, here we come. You've never seen me make vellum flowers, David. You need to watch some of my videos back, and I will do some next week. When you do heat from underneath, mind your fingers. It gets very, very hot. So that's your 4 panels done. As I said, hopefully quite randomly. You don't want too perfect an image for this. And again, we are just going to take the brush. Now, no reloading this if you can help it. A really, really light, and I am just literally kissing the edge of this. I don't want it to be heavy. I don't want lots of colour on there. I'm just going round right on the very edge of this card. And that's where the smaller brushes come in handy. The big brushes are really easy to use, but you may take up too much of these panels if you try to use the big brushes to do this particular technique. It might work just fine, but it might not. So as I said, I'm going to try my very best not to reload any ink on my brush. I'm just going from the edge. Almost done. One more to go, and it is really, really subtle. It's just to tie it all together. It stops it being quite so stark white, and this would look lovely in any colour. I mean, you could even do this in white embossing powder on white cardstock. I love white on white, but that doesn't really show up when I'm trying to do it on a video. hence I didn't do it like that. So again, we have embossed this, so I'm just going to go in and buff around the edges where I've put that ink on, because the Distress oxides are opaque and they will dull down the shine of your embossing powders. I'm not re-blending it or anything, it's just to bring back the shine on our embossing powders. So, 4 panels. I mean, if you weren't very good at doing them random and you wanted to do a whole panel, you could do the larger panel and then just cut it down into your sections. I prefer to do it this way, but again, my personal choice. You can do it however you want. So we are now going to put these 4 panels all together. I can't believe how bright that looks on the screen, but it really isn't that bright. It's kind of, as I said, a sort of a slightly brighter French navy, I suppose, than a true French navy. But it is a really undervalued sometimes colour. A couple of people use this to do one of the cards on our workshops, because I never specify colours, because if it was me, you'd end up with pretty much pink, green and blue cards. So it's quite nice to not specify the colours and see how different everybody's card looks. The same card in a different colour can have such a different look. So, panel 1. The only bit I'm not going to do now is the sentiment, because I've already got one done and I haven't got a scrap bit of paper to hand to do it because I forgot to grab one. But again, remember to tie in it all together. So your sentiment, because you've done the background like your back panels, your matting and layering like you have, do that with your sentiment so that it all comes in together. Oh, that's not on straight at all. And then last but not least, so have I stumped you all now? Because everybody's gone very quiet. So we've now got 4 panels ready to go. So we've got our card, and we can now piece this all together. So glue this down. And there is no right or wrong. None of these panels are any particular way up. It's literally how you want them. All I would suggest you do is try and by eye line all these panels up as you go. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just quite nice. It looks a little bit more finished. Fingers crossed I am still going live, because everybody has gone very, very quiet, and I know my iPad has a few hiccups every so often. Oh, no, you're there, concentrating. Thank you. So as I said, this is a card that I thought we could show you that you don't have to colour. Not everybody's hugely confident with colouring, but they still love to stamp, and this works brilliantly for that. So that is the card put together. We are now going to take our sentiment, and I've done exactly the same. I've gone round the edge. Let me bring that up to you. So I've gone round the edge of the cardstock, the same way as I did the layers down here. And then I have gone over just round the edge of the ink with the ink. Look at the colour of my fingers, look. We're bluer than blue. Mari, if you're watching, I'm just as, was it Mari? No, it was Sue. got absolutely covered in a blue ink at the weekend as well. So when you're sticking your sentiment down, you are sticking it in the middle, so you are only going to put glue on one side. So I've just got glue just on that third there, really. You can put more on if you want to. You could do a belly band which would hold this all together as well if you wanted to. But that is how simple that card is. I think it's quite an effective card. I did make it, so that's kind of a bit naughty to say that, but I do quite like it. Not everybody likes all the cards they make, so it's quite nice to be able to... Oh, sorry, you got my finger in it. Look at my rosy cheeks. That's because that heater is on and I forgot to turn it off. At least, as David says, at least I'm warm today because I've been freezing all weekend. So I'm glad you like the card. Let me just pop back here for 2 seconds and we can go through what we used. So this is the finished card. Let me come up a little bit closer. And it is a 6x6. So it should go through just as a normal size letter. Fingers crossed. So today we have used the 6x6 card blanks. We have also got the white cardstock, which is in 250 or 300 GSM. We have got VersaFine. Not sure if any of you can still see this. Fingers crossed you'll catch up on the end of this. Who knows? We ran out of space on the recording. I had a feeling something was going to happen. Isn't that funny? So we used the large sticky glue. We used the crystal clear. I'm going to recap. The white smooth cardstock, VersaFine, prize ribbon, sticky glue, crystal clear embossing powder, and our 2 sets of stamps, the Floral Infinity and Sentiments. So I know we're on a second part of our video. And then we also use the blending brushes that we have in the 2 sizes. So we've got the one with the little cap and the larger one that comes in the case. I'm going to put you back to me. Apologies that we disappeared for a couple of minutes, so you're just going to get a quick snippet on the end here. This is the card that we finished. And as I said, all we did ahead of time was cut it out. So we cut the panels out. Oh, wrong way. I'll go back that way. So we cut the panels out ahead. Everything else was done live on the previous video. So the card sizes are 6x6 cards. Sorry, I've got to read this off. We had one piece at 5 3/4 square, one piece at 5.5 inch square, 4 pieces at 5 3/4 by 2 3/4, and 4 pieces at 5.5 by 2.5, which are the panels. So you've got 4 panels in the 2 sizes, and then your square in the middle. Just a small offcut that I've kept for the sentiment on there as well. Oh, I've got to remember, I've got to go in reverse. So that's everything. If anybody needs to get hold of us, you can email us at honeydewcraft@gmail.com, or you can contact us through our website at gmail.co.uk. Everything we've used today is available on our website. And that's everything, I think. I hope you enjoyed the video. My finger again. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a lovely Easter. If Easter's not a holiday for you, have a lovely break, and we will see you all again next week, which is Wednesday the 12th of April.